So what's up, man? Finally, we get a chance to talk. It seems like you've been
Yeah,
sounds like according to your Discord
yeah,
messages, you had quite a lot to say, including a lot of F slurs here. So,
yep, damn right.
okay,
And I'm
cool.
not
So,
sorry either.
yeah, so what do you want to talk about? Cuz it seems that we've been
Uh,
kind of playing phone tag here for a while and
um,
you seem to be very angry
mm,
at me. So,
man, well, where do I start? Guess I'll start that first question. What do you think you're gaining out of this?
I don't know what I'm gaining exactly.
Well, let's
I don't
start
know
with
why you're
you
assuming
thinking
that I'm
about.
interested in gaining something though. Why do you think that I'm doing this to gain something? Let's see. You said I'm legitimately sick and fucking tired of you. If you have to make blatantly disrespectful thumbnails and dismiss a victim situation
Yep,
in order to get an
yep.
extremely refutable fallacy across. Okay, so why don't we start there? What did I do wrong there with the fallacy?
Oh yeah, that's just a reference to like the whole you thinking that that by talking to pedals that's supposed to like help the root of the problem, and yeah, well, that's what I was referring to.
Okay, but that's not a fallacy. That's just what's been so far empirically demonstrated.
Why am I having a trouble believing that?
I mean, do you think that I'm just like do you legitimately think that I'm just making stuff up on Twitter and on my videos, or do you genuinely think that I have nothing to base this claim off?
Well, first of all, there's two problems in your situation. Like the last time I checked, you can't control like someone's like urges, right? That their mind and all, right? Correct? Am I wrong?
Well, you can't change who somebody is attracted to. Like you couldn't make a pedophile be a not pedophile, just like you couldn't make somebody not be gay or not be
So you
straight.
understand that?
But well, hold on. There are still ways you can make significant changes with all kinds of different medications, including libido reducing drugs, which just kill sex drive across the board.
Hmm.
Because you say
Okay,
pedophilia is
so we
wrong
have
and
that.
always will be wrong. I agree. You are not noble for defending it. Like, I am not defending pedophilia here.
Yeah, I know you're not trying to defend it. Like I know that's probably not what your like ultimate outcome is, but like that's like how it's coming off.
Okay, so what is pedophilia?
Well, according to normal definitions, is he attracted towards children or like you seem to be so technical about like under prepubescent children like, or
Well,
people
yeah, I mean,
as if
yeah.
there's honestly a difference.
Well, there is a difference. I mean, if somebody is an adult man who's attracted to a 17-year-old girl, odds are that person is not a pedophile.
But
The
under
same
law,
way
but
that
they're still
someone who is an
under
adult man attracted to like a 6-year-old girl would be.
right. But under law, that's classified as minor, so that's when it becomes pedophilia. The last time I checked.
Well, that's not what makes it pedophilia. It would be illegal. It would be wrong. It would be immoral.
True.
But that wouldn't be pedophilia if we're going to go based on the definition, which is the attraction to prepubescent kids. So,
Now,
so
in some laws, like they allow you to have like a 4 year age gap. Like, say you have a 20-year-old and like a 16-year-old, like that's not pedophilia. But like if you got like a whole ass like decade age gap, then I don't know about that one.
well, the thing is like, okay, if there's like a 21-year-old woman dating a guy who's 50 or something, like that 50-year-old is not a pedophile, right?
Right, right, because well, they're both adults, of course.
Right.
Right,
So
right.
a
So
pedophile
that's
is
on them.
somebody who's attracted primarily or exclusively to prepubescent children. That's what makes it so fucking disgusting. Is it's the
Yeah.
prepubescence that they are attracted to. This is why a lot of the times pedophiles are neither straight or gay. They are legitimately just attracted to children. So
Mhm.
it's gross, but
But you don't think there's like
wait, when
that could
I
be like
say
a
that, like I just
variation?
asked you what pedophilia is, and you gave the exact same definition that I've been saying. Are you defending pedophilia now?
No, not at all.
Okay, so why would you say that I'm defending it?
Because well, first of all, you say you're destigmatizing, and I was gonna tell you right now, there is no like as you say, like way to like little bit like destigmatize something. Like it's either you in or you're out.
Do you think that we've done any changes to the stigma around, say, something like schizophrenia?
I'm not sure about that one. I mean, but people seem to like rise past it. Like I have family members that have it, and like
Right.
they're like upstanding citizens, where they rise above it.
Right,
But
and
as
there,
for other
but for a
things, like
really, really long time, it was the idea of a schizophrenic person was someone with voices in their head, someone who was a killer, a psycho, who was
right,
being told to kill, the split personality thing. I mean, for the longest time when I was little, when I heard schizophrenia, the first thing I was thinking is, oh, the split personality, where you're like, you think there's two people in the room, but really you're just talking to yourself, kind of thing. Um, so like that used to be really heavily stigmatized and viewed as being immoral or you are dangerous and whatnot. But we've reduced the stigma so much so now that, well, you're comfortable saying this. You're comfortable telling me you have family members that are schizophrenic, but we all recognize that schizophrenia is bad and that it's wrong and it could be dangerous and it needs treatment. Like, why couldn't this be the same thing for pedophilia?
well, that's the thing though, because as I said before, you can't control like someone's like sexual urges. So like what? And
You
not only
can't
that,
control
like
if a
first of all,
schizophrenic person wants to go on a killing
well,
spree, can you?
right, but not only that, in the case of pedophilia, first of all, so you say you want to like get them help and not, but first of all, you not you know that relies on like the pedophile taking accountability, right? And like, how do you like guarantee that?
Well, you don't guarantee it, but you raise the likelihood that that will in fact happen if the pedophile knows that by taking accountability, they're not going to be locked up or reported immediately or treated like a complete outcast from society.
Mhm. All right, yeah, that does make sense. But the thing is, like, even if that somehow like does work, as I've been saying to another person, like that still doesn't address the root of the problem, which of course would be, as you call the offending pedophiles, which that's like traffickers, like because the thing about pedophilia is but there is no way to like pinpoint where it's coming from, especially with offending pedophiles. It could be like pedophiles, traffickers, like fucking like Catholic priests, like
Right.
so all kinds of different sources.
Yeah, but the thing, and that's another thing too, is that a lot of people get confused is that there's a difference between like a child molester and a pedophile. Sometimes the child molester is not actually a pedophile,
Right.
which I know sounds
But
kind of
see,
weird, but again,
that's the thing
it's
though. Like, if you're a Catholic priest and like, as you know, you know what they like to do. They like to target like young boys. Like, is that not like an attraction towards like children?
well, they are acting in a way that is sexual towards a child. However,
Right.
the reasons for that is not because they are attracted to primarily or exclusively children, but rather because they are attracted to the power dynamic that they can abuse and manipulate. This is why you can read about different types of child molesters. So, of course, you do have some child molesters that are legitimate pedophiles as well, that are actually attracted to kids and they want to give into their urges. And those people are sick fucks and they deserve to go to prison and maybe even worse. Like, I'm really not, I don't really give a shit. Once you've hurt a kid, like, you're dead to me, okay? But
Right.
there's also child molesters who just take advantage of power dynamics. This is why a lot of the times these molesters will abuse children, they'll abuse old people, they'll abuse sick people or disabled people. It's really about exploiting that vulnerability far more than it
Right.
is they have some attraction to children. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but like, don't you see how like your Discord messages are coming in here super fucking hot, and you're calling me like the F slur, and then you're saying that I'm defending pedophilia, but you agree with my take.
Well, the thing is, I just well, I mainly want you to admit that when you say that we're solving like pedophilia, like reducing it, when that's not like an accurate statement.
Wait, which part isn't an accurate statement?
So you say that this is supposed to I don't know who you said mainly, so
Like reducing the
stop
stigma,
pedophilia.
destigmatize?
Yeah, reduce it. Yeah, like that shit. Like if we reduce the stigma, then the offenders will not come out. Well, when that's not like totally true, because as we just discussed, you got the other types of people out there.
Yeah, well, those people need to continue being handled with law enforcement. And also, I
Exactly.
mean, even if somebody has abused a child, like, they probably should be put through some kind of a therapy as well, to ensure that they don't do that again. But they should also probably have life in prison and whatnot. But, like,
Yeah.
in all seriousness, like, I'm okay with people who have also abused children seeking out therapy. The problem is, though, that if you have abused a child and seeking out a therapy, you're going to need to admit that you've abused a child, and at that point, you should be
Exactly.
reported. Like, there's
And
no,
that's something that pedophiles are not notorious for.
well, that's because a lot of people who are pedophiles have not actually hurt a child. They just want to get help. But because of the
Mhm.
stigma right now, I mean, you saw my tweet. Come on. Look at how many people are saying that, like, I should get thrown into a wood chipper. I mean, even you're calling me, like, a pedo coddler. Like, everybody and
Yeah.
their brother seems to be purposely obtuse on this subject.
Well, because it's a touchy issue, and especially when it's not like kind of getting down to the roots. Like don't get me wrong. I would one solution instead of no solution, but once again, I'm still not happy with the fact it's not attacking the root of the problem.
Well, what is the root of the problem?
You know what? I'm not even gonna say pedophilia no more. I'm gonna say like mental illness and as you said before, like power dynamics. You feel power over this person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if
So
it's a
yeah,
mental illness, then if that is the root cause, then therapy and medication should actually help that significantly.
right. True. But that's the thing, though. A lot of people with mental illness, you can't exactly use that as an excuse either.
No,
Because
you shouldn't
everybody
use
has
it
their
as
own
an
type of
excuse.
illness,
No, I'm not, and that's the thing is, people think that if I were am to say that it's a mental illness or I wrongly called it a sexual orientation before, that that somehow means that is like extending a free pass to people. Like, I don't care if somebody goes out and kills somebody and then says, "Oh, I have a mental illness. I'm a psychopath." That doesn't excuse
right?
what they did. Like, they did something bad. They need to be held accountable for it. The same exact thing would go for pedophiles. If you abuse a child, you're not going to go hide behind, "Oh, I have a mental illness, ooh woo." But what it is that like you said, you got to identify the root cause and acknowledging that this is a mental illness that calls for treatment and that there is such a thing as a pedophile who has not harmed anybody, who could get help, and if they're not getting help, that means they're more likely to harm somebody. This is not a controversial opinion, or at least it shouldn't be. And I mean, you agree with me though, and you're coming in here and your message is super fucking hot.
Yeah. Whoa. I ain't even gonna lie to you. This is about more than like your current take, but this is about like all the past takes, which we'll get to in a minute.
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering where this energy's at because over here you're like, I'm sick and fucking tired of you. You're disrespectful. You're 100% of the wrong. But yet, like, we just talked for 10 minutes and I think that you don't think that I am 100% in the wrong with this point.
Well, that's because I'm mainly in my civil mode right now. I would like to have a conversation where we're speaking like adults and not like like on fucking Twitter where we're just like mindlessly insulting. But yeah,
Well, yeah, because I mean, I blocked you on Twitter anyway, but
exactly.
yeah. Okay, well, I mean, it sounds like we generally agree then on the pedo thing, and hopefully you're able to see that this is in fact a viable option that in no way includes accepting, normalizing, or coddling pedophiles. Instead, it views it for what it is on a factual basis, and then extends what the response should be based on what we know about the condition.
hmm
Okay, so what else you want to talk about then?
Um. Before the pedal debate come in, I was actually supposed to talk to you about trans though and why that's not you know um factually accurate in any way or y- just not exactly right.
Okay,
But there's a lot of problems with it.
okay, go for it.
I mean, what can I say? But there's two things I don't like in this world: that there's lies and there's blaming your problems on gender, and trans seems to fall into both of those categories.
Okay. I mean, blaming your problems on gender, I don't know how that would really add up. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're talking about gender
just think
dysphoria,
about it. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm about to get that in a minute. All right. So let's say, so you got let's say the classic, like a man who wants to biological man who wants to transition into a female, so he calls himself.
mm-hmm. Well, it would be a
Um,
woman. Female
right,
technically does refer to the sex characteristics, not
right.
gender.
But why would he do that though? Does he think that he's supposed to get like some kind of like privilege that he wouldn't find as a male? And it's something that I thought society was trying to be against. And I ain't gonna lie to you, in the past few years, it seems like we've been doing the opposite.
I feel like a big problem here that you're running into now, that you've ran into twice, is you feel like that it seems as though you're incapable of thinking why somebody would do something if there's not some kind of a almost devious, selfish benefit behind it. Like, I don't think that trans people are just wanting to get the privilege or some shit. I mean, being trans comes with its own set of discrimination and lack of privilege in many ways. So no, it's not that. It's that they have internalized a sense of themselves that does not align with what gender people would otherwise be referring to them as. And that usually causes a significant amount of distress. Even more so, it's called gender dysphoria, but it really should be called sex dysphoria, because then at that point you're talking about somebody who not only has a different gender identity, but they also are suffering severe mental anguish because their gender identity does not align with the sexual characteristics that are usually correlated with their gender identity. And that's what causes the gender/sex dysphoria, which is a real mental illness. Again, that demands treatment.
It is hilarious you mentioned that too, because like in like pretty much like every like trans I talk to and their allies, they think to call like gender identity. But then if I ask something like it, since I'm black, of course, if I say I don't like being black anymore and I want to be white, but oh, so why would there be a problem with that? But like the same energy is not kept with like normal trans, the concept of that.
Because black and white is not the same level of identity, not nearly as much so.
Yeah,
It's also not hinged upon a internal perception of oneself the same way that gender is. So I can see how colloquially maybe it seems kind of similar, but when you actually get down into the nitty gritty, it's not really very comparable. I mean, like the way we categorize races are socially constructed, but race is not purely a form of identity, right? Like there's also like there's a reason people are identified as black or brown or white. Like
yeah.
there's more than just they identify that way. And
Not
that
because
can't
of
really be
gender,
said
like the man
though, but
itself.
that can't be said with man or woman.
Well, hey, and as another person like pointed out when I asked this, they said there's no mental difference either, and but that's the big difference with that and a
With
gender dysphoria, which I can see,
Wait,
but then
yeah, anybody it sounds like if they're telling you that there's no such thing as a mental illness called gender dysphoria, then they're just not they're just being
I
dishonest.
know that is what they're saying. Oh, so they were saying in the case of like if a person says that they don't like being a certain race, you know, with race that there's no true like mental difference. Anybody of any race can learn whatever, right?
Mhm.
But with gender, apparently that's different. It seems odd, but whatever.
Well, I mean, there are brain scans that have shown that, like, trans women, for example, have certain estrogen receptors that function differently than trans men, or excuse me, cis men, for example. So there could be a deeper level, like a biological reason almost, for some people being trans, but that's why I usually say is that being trans is really when you just identify differently than whatever gender is usually associated with your sex characteristics. That is what being trans is. You can have gender dysphoria, but the gender dysphoria is not a necessity to be trans because I mean, I think you would have to admit that even if we were going to say gender dysphoria is required, well, if a trans person gets treatment and then the gender dysphoria is alleviated, they're still trans, but they don't have gender dysphoria. So clearly, that cannot be the defining thing. That's why I say it's a sense of identity first and foremost.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and furthermore, so like prior to this, you were saying that well, like discrimination, and that's another thing. I feel like discrimination has lost meaning too because like when you got trans, they're like forcing you to call them by their pronouns, which by the way I think is utterly preposterous. But that's where the problem is, and I just can't call someone by what I clearly see is not like it's not true. It's not clear to my retinas, and I know it's not true in the biological respect, and that's what the problem is.
Well, I mean, it would depend what pronouns they're asking you to use. I would actually probably agree with you to a degree if they're saying, like, my pronouns are Z, Zem, Zai or some bullshit. But I mean, if they're saying
I'm happy to the pronouns. You got xenomale and xenofemale, whatever the fuck that means.
yeah, these are those are that's a totally separate issue. But that's where I break away from some of the other sides of this stuff. Is I don't think the xenogender or neo
Yeah,
pronouns are
I mainly
legit
mean
at
like
all.
so a good example would be like this. I don't know if you ever saw you saw the friggin' the trans council man or councilwoman as she likes to be called versus the average store owner. That was a good example where
Which one
um
is this? The person in government?
yeah, I think he's in California or some shit, and he started beefing with the store owner because he put us aside that said if you were born Che, you don't have a dick. It was so funny, and he got in there and they started like exchanging words, and I'm sure you can imagine what happened next. It never got physical, thank God, for the
Was this
store
the
owner.
it's ma'am
Um,
person?
no, that was the person in a GameStop it was, and
Right. No, I remember
she
that
was
one.
beefing with the employee, but no, this was a different person.
Okay, but the
I
thing
couldn't
is
even
that
like
like it would really depend on what pronouns they're asking you to use. So let's say hypothetically you have a trans woman, okay? And you can still notice certain biological features that you would usually associate with being masculine or manly. Maybe their voice is a little bit deeper. Maybe their jawbone, you can kind of tell, or maybe they have an Adam's apple, makes it look a little bit more like what you would expect to see in a man or whatever. But I feel like if they are making an effort, it's not that hard. So like maybe somebody has an Adam's apple because they haven't fully transitioned biologically yet, right? But I mean, if
yeah.
they're making an effort to present in a more feminine way, then I almost feel like using she her pronouns in that case would be easier. Wouldn't that make more utility to say, yeah, she's right over there instead of, yeah, he's over there? No, no, no. I know that person looks like a woman from over here, but they're actually biologically male. Like, at that point, you've
Exactly.
actually defeated the
What I'm
utility
trying to
of the
say.
pronoun.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if someone's not biologically, on what they've been assigned to, then what's the point of calling them like something else? Like, if that's
Because
what the
if they're
problem
because if
really
they're
comes in.
trans and they have gender dysphoria, then the first medical advice is to socially transition, which means start
And that
dressing.
brings us up to our next point.
What's that?
I was saying, and that brings us up to our next point here. But
Yeah,
go
but
on.
socially transitioning just means make an effort to transition socially. Literally, just try to present yourself more so as the gender that you identify as. Wear a dress, put on lipstick, do things that make it obvious that this is the way that you wish to be identified. And in a case,
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying. In a case like that, you might see someone with a Adam's apple that you think, oh, that looks more like a male biology. Yeah, but this is the whole thing with recognizing the difference between sex and gender is somebody could be male, but also be a woman. Not female, but a woman. And so if that person has an internal perception of themselves that differs from the gender identity that is usually correlated with certain biological characteristics, and they are following medical advice and presenting that way, then using their preferred pronouns would actually make more sense. Do you
So you're
disagree?
saying just call them their pronouns to avoid conflict. If you're saying that, then I totally agree.
No, not to avoid conflict, because it actually serves more utility at the end of the day. Like I said, if you have somebody who's biologically male, but they identify as a woman, and they're wearing a dress, they have long hair, they're wearing lipstick, it's obvious that they are trying to present themselves in a more feminine manner. If you were talking to another person and you were pointing at that trans person, you wouldn't say, "Yeah, see him over there? That guy, he's a guy biologically male, but he identifies as a woman, so that's why he looks more like a girl, but if you got to like no, it would just be like she's over there." Wouldn't that make more sense to just use the pronoun?
Right. If you're talking about like time wise, then sure.
I feel like you're not agreeing still or not like fully understanding what I'm getting at.
Well, that's gonna come into my next point. Another thing that no trans or some trans at least I've had at least one that agrees with this. That some trans and trans allies don't agree with that transition has consequences. Like nobody seems to want to admit that
That
it
transition has
helps.
consequences. Well, what consequences are you talking about? Like, of course there are going to be consequences. It really matters if the consequences of not transitioning outweigh the consequences of transitioning.
Um, All right, so let's say the classic one, like puberty, brother, or like first of all, why'd you want to block puberty? Like that's a natural cycle of life, and how you block puberty, and that's like weird. Um,
Yeah,
so
those I'm
a lot of studies have said that like it fucks with like your skeletal structure and shit. Like it has consequences that will fuck you over in the long run.
okay, wait,
And
hold
there's
on,
also
wait, stop. Because if you're talking about puberty blockers, the reason that somebody would want to block their puberty is one, if they are trans and they start to have gender dysphoria, which we already kind of acknowledged should really be called sex dysphoria, meaning that they identify differently and then also as they hit puberty, certain bodily biological characteristics are starting to develop that if those do not align with what is usually correlated with their gender identity, then that will cause significant distress, right? So if somebody identifies as a woman, but going through puberty is causing them to have more masculine features like hairy arms and beard and whatever, then that will cause more distress. So you would be put on puberty blockers to avoid going through the wrong puberty, which would only then make your depression worse if you went through the wrong puberty.
So they don't and definition also says it too what they feel dissatisfaction. Well, either dissatisfaction with themselves.
What's that? Could you say that again?
So for gender dysphoria, the definition literally says is they feel a dissatisfaction for themselves, which is pretty much what you just described.
Okay, yeah. So that's why
All
you
right,
would want to. That's why you would want to be put on puberty blockers, right?
right, but here's the thing though, that's as I said first, like where the problem of reverse sexism comes in, like I don't know how it's not seen that way, but
Well, hold
yeah,
on, wait.
we pretty
So
much
have we
already
moved
covered it.
off then the puberty blockers point completely? Because I mean, puberty blockers are generally safe. I mean, of course they
But when I'm hearing, but hold on, when I hear like trans that actually regret transition, that's where I start to have my doubts at. So what's up with that?
yeah, but why does that make you doubt things? But yet when you hear countless stories from trans people who are happier, that's been demonstrated empirically, you just kind of
Um,
overlook that.
no, I'm talking about no, I'm talking about trans that regret transition like as a whole, as in that they wish they never done it,
I
and
know, but what about
that
all
that
the
that.
and what I'm saying is if that's what's making you concerned, then why can I not flip it and say, "Hold on, there's way more trans people who have told their stories about being happy
But we
and
don't
not
know that though
regretting it."
because because trans make a what like 1% of the population. Like we don't know how many like trans are truly regretting the surgery because
No,
first of
well,
all the government like to
that's
hide
not
that,
true. We have statistics on this. So I mean, yeah, the statistics are not
and you
going to
think they
account.
put the truth away.
Well, hold on. Statistics are not going to account for literally everyone, of course. However, they give us a really good idea into what is to be expected, the average, and whatnot. And we know right now that regret rates are extremely low. We also know that whenever a child is confirmed gender identity, that they do not go on to later regret it. And we can also read statistics as to why people detransition. And one of the biggest reasons is because of societal discrimination. So it's not even as though their external gender identity,
That's not
or
true either because I have a source that like kind of refutes that. It's an odd source, but it's still a source nonetheless.
okay, yeah, you can send it to me. I'll read it. But also, just to correct
All right,
myself, it's that their internal, excuse me, identity or gender identity hasn't changed, but the way that society has treated them has essentially bullied them out of pursuing uh, the necessary treatment that they so desire.
oh, okay, now that's wrong. I agree with you on that. I don't believe that people should like be targeted or you should attack someone because of that's what they choose your lifestyle is because you know what that's wrong. I wouldn't do that. But that doesn't mean I'm not ready to agree with it either, and that's what the problem comes in.
Yeah, but look at, like, just search up top reasons why people detransition. About 36% reported having detransitioned due to pressure from a parent. 33% because it was too difficult. So I don't know what that means. Maybe that would apply to, like, they shouldn't have transitioned. I don't know. But 31% was due to discrimination.
Mm.
29% due to difficulty getting a job. So I mean,
Yeah, no, that's wrong.
that's fucked. that's fucked, and that's what I mean though, is that like there are people who are being actively transphobic, and then they'll turn around and use the fact that some people regret or will go on to detransition to further bludgeon trans people. But it's like, hold on, you are creating that problem with your transphobia. So among
Well,
transgendered, what's TDG stand for? Transgender and gender diverse adults with a reported history of detransition, the vast majority reported that their detransition was driven by external pressures. Clinicians should be aware of these external pressures, how they may be modified. Let's see. History of detransition, 82.5% in this study reported at least one external driving factor. Frequently endorsed external factors included pressure from family and societal stigma. And this actually, in a weird way, goes back to what I was even saying about the pedophile thing. Like, it's so abundantly clear that certain stigma can play a role in deterring people from seeking treatment. This applies to trans people, and it also can apply to pedophiles in some senses as well.
mm, but to me, that just sounds like people are just like crying over the fact that that person is utterly appalled by their actions. Like if that's what you're trying to control, then I'm sorry, but you cannot like truly control that.
Wait,
Everybody's
when
gonna have their
I'm sorry,
opinion.
when I say pedophile again, let me be extremely clear. I'm talking non-offending pedophile. I'm talking somebody who has
Mm.
a dangerous and immoral attraction, but they are scared to seek help because of the social stigma. But I mean, this just all that I'm saying is if stigma can play such a huge role in why people detransition, I don't think it's that ludicrous to also assume, hey, if we know already stigma can play this degree of this degree, or excuse me, can be this degree of a factor when it comes to medical decisions, why would we not assume that the way in which society stigmatizes people who have immoral attractions, who have not yet acted on those attractions, wouldn't have an effect on them seeking treatment? Like, of course it does. And mind you, I'm just kind of trying to explain this more holistically. I do have studies individually showing that stigma specifically has prevented people who are attracted to minors from seeking that help. People who have not yet offended. So, not to derail, it's just, yeah, so like you're going to hear stories of people who detransition, but I don't know why that outweighs the stories of people who have transitioned and are happy.
All right. Yeah, that's you who can't like like just discriminate someone like because of what their choice is, like obviously, but um you who can't agree with it either, and like I said, you who can't control someone's opinion over like a pedophile, but if it's getting to the point where it's preventing like a solution, then yes, I agree that is wrong.
Right. And again, I'm not saying that the solution is like, oh, pedophiles are great, lol, but just kind of like how we recognize other mental illness of we all collectively recognize mental illnesses as being bad. We also recognize that they have the potential to be harmful either to the person specifically with the mental illness like depression or to people around them like schizophrenia or delusions that can cause them to act insane and hurt somebody else. But we all recognize it's wrong, as in the stigma is still there, but our response to the recognition that it's wrong is, hey, that's wrong. Go get help. Not, hey, that's wrong. Why don't you go literally kill yourself and get thrown into a wood chipper? Like, obviously, we have to recognize that we can reduce stigma to a degree while still keeping a general understanding that, like, having an attraction to children is fucking disgusting and immoral and dangerous. That's why they should get help.
Yeah. All right, this is embarrassing. I can't exactly find it. Like, I don't know how to find it the first time. But it was basically an Instagram account, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like at the time I saw it, it had like 2,000. It's probably more by now, obviously, 'cause,
Mm-hmm.
always go up. They were basically posting like anime stories about why they detransitioned, and some of it was pretty valid reasons, but they didn't say it was a result of social stigma or none of that crap. They said it was their own personal decision. Like they recognized it
Mm-hmm.
that that wasn't what
Yeah, I mean, there's
The problem
and
was
that's
the mental illness.
and just to be perfectly clear, the majority of reasons that trans people transition is due to external factors, but that doesn't mean that there's nobody who's ever detransitioned because they legitimately regretted it and thought that was the right decision earlier on and now have realized that it was the wrong decision. Like that that obviously happens, of course, but again, this happens with virtually any kind of a medical procedure, right? Like I mean,
Yeah,
this is a much more extreme, but like you can even read stats about people who regret the way that their bodies were changed or whatever during like cancer treatments, which to me sounds insane. Like I wouldn't give a shit. I'm better from cancer. But there are even people who
exactly.
suffer regret and disappointment with how their body has changed after getting treatment that ultimately benefited them. So I mean, yeah, like it's not surprising to me that there's a couple thousand people. I mean, in the broad scheme of things, that's really not that many people who are saying that they decided to transition because they thought it was the right or the wrong decision originally, or whatnot. But again, like puberty blockers specifically allow for that because they are reversible when you stop taking them. I just feel like you're not coming at me with the same energy. I mean, you're telling me that like I'm a smug piece of shit. Like you clearly I feel like you disagree with me more than you're letting on or something.
Mm. Let's see, what was I saying? Yeah, but that isn't true either. It's reversible. When I have seen studies that like say the contrary.
Well, yeah, there's probably some studies that have said like there are some aspects that are not fully reversible. For example, you might have a slight decrease in bone density. I don't know if that's fully reversible. But again, that's a side effect that you essentially have
Well, that's what the
weighed.
problem is. Where my main problem is, like a trans like seem to like oh, I'm not exactly tell the full story, like, but about all the risk, and that's where my main problem is.
Well, I think the first thing you need to
But then if
recognize
you
is when you
comment
say
on
that.
that, then you got to be like labeled a bigot, transphobe, like all these like labels that like aren't accurate to the person's character when all they're trying to do is the right thing.
Yeah, but I think that the first thing you need to recognize is that these are not trans people leaving out half the story. Like these are medical institutions that are coming to this decision. This is not your average TikTok trans person who's like, "Hey, I should get hormones whenever I want." Like this would be a decision made by a medical institution based on academic and medical research, which is why this seems to be consistently borne out more than it's not. So yeah, like you're probably going to find some things that lower bone density or could affect your height slightly. But again, that's just one of the risks of this medication. You have to weigh against the benefits. If you have severe gender dysphoria and you're starting to enter puberty, and the sight of your body developing in a way that is completely contrary to the way that you want it to be, and that's causing you like distress and fear and anxiety and depression to a level you haven't felt before, puberty blockers might be a better risk. I mean, hey, I take Adderall. That can have long term, if not irreversible, negative effects on my fucking heart. And you know what? I've had to think about it. What's better? Is it better for me to have my ADHD under control and have my mood actually fucking stable? Or would it be better for me to not take this potential risk of having a long term side effect for my heart? I have chosen to take the medication.
Yeah, but that's true. You who gotta do what's best for you.
Yeah, but this is, but yeah, but dude, come on, man. You're telling me that I'm like a miserable, racist, sexist, pedo coddler. You're saying that I'm a pussy. You said you fucking hate me and you legitimately pray to the stars every day for my downfall. Come on. Are you the same guy who
All
typed
right.
all this?
Well, that was because like I was mainly angry at the fact that you weren't listening to like the other guy, and yeah, that's main problem was
What other guy? The girl in this victim video?
no, not that guy, but there was another guy. I forgot what his name was. Oh, what would you like? You were saying fuck. Let me go find it actually because I do have that tweet.
Okay.
All right, my account. Pray to God that didn't get banned.
I mean, it's fine. We don't really need to get too much into that. I just don't know where the same energy is. That's all.
Oh yeah, not to name name, but Bosley, I believe, that guy. He was saying like that he was angry because you heard his speech. He's like basically mocking him, but that's where my problem was. And it seemed like you weren't exactly like willing to listen. Like you were trying to paint us as insane when all we're saying is that yeah, you can talk to the non-offenders all you want, but the real threat is still out there. And when you're
But
saying that
non-offenders become offenders. Every
that's not
pedophile
what you
was
said
a
before though.
non-offender at one
That's
point.
not what you said before, and you know that, Hunter. Come on.
Wait, what did I say? I don't know which conversation you're talking about.
The pedophile conversation. I'll get back to that briefly. So you're saying that if we talk to the non-offenders, that would reduce like the outcome of like pedophiles. That's what I'm hearing.
That'll come out
It's
in
probably not accurate.
that'll result in a reduction of child abuse. Yeah.
Right, but see, there it is. But that's not like totally true though. What you have the offenders who are still doing what they do.
Yeah, because you treat each thing individually and differently. So if you have a
All
child
right, that's what
molester who's somebody who's genuinely attracted to unfair power dynamics and just wants to exploit vulnerable people, then yeah, you would probably go about solving that or addressing a problem like that differently than you would someone who has not hurt anybody but has immoral and dangerous attractions and fantasies about children, and just by reducing the stigma for that so much so that they can go get help without fear of being a social outcast or reported to the police right off the bat.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I was trying to get clarification for. I thought that you were trying to basically like deny all that, but if you weren't, then I guess there's no issue.
Do you mean like the other day when I had the conversation with those two different guys about this same subject?
I guess like yeah, basically since all right, fine, I'll confess it. I don't exactly like watch all of your videos, like the whole content,
That's
but
fine.
I always watch like basically what triggers me, as you would say. And I guess that that's kind of on my end, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, and of course I'm just going for your Twitter feed, even though I despise Twitter. I just use it to get my point across.
Yeah, but I mean,
But yeah,
you come at me
that's what my
viciously
thing
on
was.
Twitter, and you message me viciously, and then we talk, and I feel like you're not even the same person. Like, were you talking it up when you said how much you hate me, or are you genuinely having a conversation right now with a guy that you fucking hate?
I just like I get pissed off when I guess when I hear things from my perspective, I guess you would say. Like in this case when it didn't seem to have like a clarification on like what your intentions were, and that's probably why I was pissed off.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if
And and between the fact your followers, like your followers are no offense, kind of retarded.
yeah, but I mean, like you're saying that I better not pussy out like I did last time, but like you're kind of being a pussy right now. No? Like if every
And
time
that's
I
what
typed you, I was like, yeah, you fucking piece of shit. Wait till you get absolutely owned, okay? I have 34 Navy SEAL kills. And then we actually sit down here and start talking. And then I'm like, no biggie. It's fine. Haha. Like, it kind of sounds like you're like weaseling a little bit or are just a keyboard warrior.
yeah, maybe. Uh,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you can say maybe. I think that that's pretty concrete at this point. I mean,
and I
you
probably
sent me like a
wasted all my energy
gigantic
on like
list of insults just today.
it was 2 days, but still, and because I probably wasted all my energy on your Reddit follower who were well, because basically I didn't have the same thoughts as you have. I mean, he kept saying like or she, I don't know what the fuck he is, nor do I truly care. But he was basically saying that I guess what you were trying to say right now, but not like understanding me.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I guess I am a little bit confused about the lack of hostility as opposed to the consistent messages you've sent me. And I also am trying to hear
I
you out
mean, I
from your
could have
perspective.
came in and like insulted, but I don't like to do things that's not productive. Like, I want you to understand
Except
that.
for
But
send a bunch of messages and
yeah,
tweet me
right. That's
consistently
my
with
free time.
insults.
So that's different.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I guess that's it. If you understand what I'm trying to say, and then I guess we're good then.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I just if you ever want to talk again, maybe bring the same energy that I have here. What's up, little bitch?
All right. I guess I'll leave with this message. Fuck you.
Yeah, okay. See you later, man. Don't be spineless, okay? Next time if you want to talk, then
Okay.
if you're gonna say shit on the computer with the keyboard, you should be able to say it to my face as well, all right?
All right.
All right. Okay. That was boringer than I would have expected.